Hello and welcome along to this yoga for pregnancy practice. So before we get started, I want you to see if you can either find a cushion off your couch, grab a towel, roll it up. It's going to be used for a little bit of support. You can grab a yoga bolster if you've got one. I've got a very small one here, which is going to be ideal, and potentially even a yoga block. So you don't need any really expensive equipment. A simple cushion off your couch, a rolled up blanket or towel will work just as well. I have a yoga mat. And I'm starting in a seated cross-legged position, and this is where you might want to start by using that prop. I've rolled it up, placed that under my sit bones, and it's going to give some support to, most importantly, my pelvis area. All right, so this part of the body changes quite quickly through pregnancy, and we're sitting in a basic cross-legged seated position. If you need some support, you can take a couple of blankets, a couple of towels, place them under the knees. You want to sit in a position that you can rest into, because most importantly, we're going to start with the breathing part of the practice. Let me encourage you to bring your hands to your body. One hand towards heart center, one hand really lower down. Okay, so take the palm of your hand and place it about an inch or so below your belly button. It's going to press quite firmly so you can feel this connection to your body. Close your eyes and just follow the flow of your breath. In yoga, we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Nasal breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. So at this stage, you're just following the flow of your breath as it is right now. And with the hands on the body, I want you to start to feel the movement. You might notice at first the gentle rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. And then I want you to see if you can breathe into that lower hand, breathing in and feel that gentle expansion, that gentle movement. Inhale and exhale. Now choose on your next inhale to inhale up through your spine. And then exhale down through your spine. Inhaling and exhaling. So really bringing the focus, the awareness to each breath, using this to calm the nervous system. It's about getting you out of your head and back into your body, which is why I love to place the hands on the body. And our breath has this natural calming effect on our nervous system. And the breath in energizes us, it gives us new energy. And the breath out is about practicing letting go, surrender, release. Breathing in and breathing out. And maybe I can bring your focus to the feel of the breath right on the tip of your nose. Does it feel warm? Does it feel cool? Notice. And see if you can bring some balance to your breath. So if you breathe in for a count of 4 or 5, you'll breathe out for the same count and the same rhythm. On the next inhale, just lengthen the count on your inhale. Breathe in slightly deeper. And exhale as you would naturally. So if you were breathing in for a count of 4, you're going to extend that maybe to a count of 5 now. And again, just a little deeper if you can, breathing in to that lower hand. And that's the space you want to breathe into. Inhale. And exhale. Let's just practice that one more time. Breathing in fully. Then deeply, and then exhaling, letting that breath go. Now bring the hands away from the body into heart prayer position. I'm going to create a little bit of movement with your breath. On your inhale, raise your arms up, look up gently. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll try that again. Breath in, breath out. And one more, breath in, big sigh. Then take those hands and reach them out in front of you. We're going to transition onto all fours. So come over onto your hands and your knees. And normally in regular yoga practice, I would keep the hands slightly wider than your shoulders and the knees just with a little bit of space between them. But in pregnancy, I'm going to take those knees just slightly wider. Okay, so it's all about creating space between the knees and space through your pelvis. So wrists are on your shoulders. I've taken my knees just a little wider than I would normally and stacked my knees under my hips. So from this position here, cat-cow, using that connection to your breath again, inhale, come forwards. If you're leading with your heart, exhale, round scoop, and just gently draw your belly up towards your spine. Breath in. And breath out. And again, try and breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Breathing in through your nose, you inhale. Lead with your heart, your chest, the center of your body, and then nodding the chin towards the chest, just gently rounding, scooping, lifting, belly and bump towards the ceiling, towards the sky. So we'll go a couple more. And you can practice this with your eyes closed. We'll go for one more. Breath in. And then breath out. Now from this position, you're going to shift that weight ever so gently back. So now take most of your weight so that your hips almost sit towards your heels. The hands are still on the floor, but there's very little weight in them, but keep the hands grounded for balance. Now practice that cat-cow in this position and notice how different that feels in your body. So again, on the inhale, gently come forwards. Exhale round and scoop the belly towards the spine. And then inhale. Remember, we're leading with the heart as you come forwards and then drawing the belly in and gently upwards to open the back of the body. So let's go one more. You're creating space into the front of the body, and then we're going to create space into the back of your body. Now this time, rock your body back and come into that neutral spine position. So wrist again, stacked, under shoulders and knees directly under your hips. I'd like you to take your right foot and step it back. Now you're going to tuck the toes under and anchor that foot to the floor. Now in this position, we want to activate the quad and feel like you're lifting the front of the body, your chest, your heart, the front of the abdomen away from the floor. So everything on the front of the body is just lifting you slightly. Now try that on the other side. Let's take that left leg, tuck the toes under and take it back. Every movement is done with an awareness to your breath. So breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Now let's repeat that again. Take your time. We step one leg back, we tuck the toes under, getting a nice gentle calf stretch as we progress in pregnancy. Sometimes we get swollen feet. And this one will just help increase the circulation flow to the lower half of the body. Let's try that on the other side. Step it back, tuck the toes under, press back. And just feel that gentle calf stretch. Notice how that feels. Now we've been on all fours for a little while, so I want to come out of this one. Big toes together, but take your knees, almost like your knees are going to touch the edges of your mat. Now, think child's pose, but what I want you to do is lift your bottom up rather than sitting your heels back. So we're going to shift that weight back, come down so that your heart is lower than the height of your hips. So slight different variation of child's pose. I want your bottom to stay lifted. We want space between the knees. I've come down onto my forearms, so you can lightly just drop your head. Now, this is an option where if you do have a block, you can place the weight of your head onto that block. You can use a cushion. You can even make fists and place your knuckles one on top of the other and rest your head. So make sure your hips, your pelvis are above the height of your heart. You're dropping the heart and the head lower than the height of your hip. So we're just shifting the circulation in your body here. The toes are drawing in and the knees are wide. So you should have plenty of space here for your bump, depending on what stage of pregnancy you're at. So just coming into a little release here, just hanging in a little upside down position. Take a couple of rounds of your breath. You're breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. So let's come back up again. Now you need to adjust. Let's bring those knees. So if we kept those knees out, they might be too wide. So we still want that space between your knees to represent the space you have through your pelvis. So let's go back. Right leg, tuck toes, press it back. So you're pressing into the center of the heel. Now, to challenge your core balance and stability, extend the opposite arm away. So I've got my right leg back, left arm out in front. Now you could extend and pick up that back leg, opposite arm, opposite leg. Now, at first you might wobble and just go with it. Your body will still adjust and then slowly return. We're going to practice that on the other side. So left leg lead, step it back, tuck the toes under, press back into the center of your heel. Now, for now, that might be just enough. We could extend the opposite arm. And you might want to stay with that back foot grounded, but you could challenge your balance, your stability. We still want to work our core strength in our pregnancy. Your center of gravity changes. It's really good to sort of figure out that new center of gravity now. So your body will figure it out. Yes, you might wobble, just go with it, and then return and come back down to the floor. So now you're held and supported. So come with me. Keep your hands on the ground. Step the right leg back. Again, we're going to tuck the toes under. And then from here, keep your hands on the ground, lift or float that right leg up and press back into the center of the heel. Now take a breath and swing that leg around to the outside. And you want to rest on the inside edge of your foot. So we're getting a nice stretch for your inner thigh, but just opening up around the hips and the pelvis area. Take a round or two of your breath here. And then pick that leg up and sweep it back around and return the knee under your hip. So in slow motion, let's try this on the other side. Left leg lead, step it back, tuck the toes, press back into center of the heel, and just always move slowly with your breath, awareness to breath. And then once the leg is floated up, circle it slowly around the outside. Take your time. Place the inside edge of the foot on the ground so that leg is long and straight and reaching away. Gentle stretch inner thigh, getting some movement into your hips. Again, might just take another round or two of your breath. If we talk about rounds of breathing, inhale, exhale is always one round of breath. Lift that leg up and then bring it under and back to where we started. Now let's try something slightly different this time. So let's take right leg, step it back, tuck the toes. You will pick the leg up. In slow motion, you bring it around the outside, land it on the floor, resting on the inside edge. Now shift your weight back and come back. So this is your neutral spine, wrist under shoulders, but you can just move back. One more, rock the body back to center. You can do that a couple of times. Lift the leg up, sweep it back around and bring the knee under the hip. We're going to try that again. So tuck the toes, sweep that leg around to the outside. We're working the other leg. Once the foot is on the floor and rested, you can then shift weight back. You practiced this earlier on. So we're taking neutral spine, shifting the weight back. That left leg is out wide. You can do 2, maybe 3 rounds, listening to your body. And then when you're back to center, pick up that leg and bring it under. So we're going to go back to that hip hinge back. It's like a variation of child's pose. Big toes together. If they don't touch necessarily, that's fine. Send your hips up and back. If you've ever done down dog, it's like you're doing down dog. I'm going to bring the forearms down, drop the height of the heart and the head and the chest, but keep your bottom lifted, so that what I've actually done is I've changed gently the blood supply here. So I've got the head and the heart lower than the height of the hips. And you're just going to settle into this one. Breathing in and breathing out. So inhale and exhale. In through the nose always and out through the nose. Now try going all the way back into that child's pose. Now depending on your stage of pregnancy, so long as your knees are wider than your hips, you should have enough space for the belly to distend down between the top of your inner thighs. But you might still need some support under your head. That's where your blanket, your cushion can come in handy. And now you're sitting back, so hips are sitting back onto your heels. You can stretch the arms out in front, let the head soften. So it could be, if you're comfortable, you can just let the head rest on the floor, close your eyes, take a couple of rounds of your breath here. Now in this position, I'm really going to encourage you to breathe more into the back of your body. So breathing into that space behind the back of the heart, feeling the rib cage gently expanding sideways. Turning your focus inwards. And then gently walk the hands back towards the body. You can bring the knees in and just come into a kneeling position for a moment or two. So I'm bringing your head back above your heart again, neutral spine position. Now, if sitting in a kneeling position doesn't work for you, if you've got swollen ankles, or it just doesn't feel right in your joints, then just shift back to that seated cross-legged position where you were sitting on your cushion or your rolled up towel. So what I'm trying to do here is, when I'm transitioning from forward flexion and moving into another position, I'm giving you time to adjust. Okay, so we don't want to make any sudden quick movements. Might make you feel quite lightheaded or dizzy. So give yourself that luxury of time. And if our yoga practice teaches us nothing else, then that's enough. That it's all about slowing you down, being conscious and aware of being in your body, of being connected to your breath, and giving yourself time. That's so precious. Not just during your pregnancy, but after as well. There's little reminders about looking after myself, looking after my well-being. So now shift and change to a seated position. Again, I'm going to sit with just my sit bones on the ground, but again, listen to your body. Do you need a bit of support? Do you want a cushion? Do you want a rolled up blanket? Place that under your sit bones. You'll know if you need something, because when you sit with your legs straight out in front of you, either feel very tight in your hips and your pelvis, or you'll feel like you're kind of falling backwards, and that's where you just need some support. Now, I always say, when my legs are straight now in front of me, always have space between your feet and your knees. Now, in pregnancy, normally I would be kind of, for me, that would be enough space. But in pregnancy, I always take the feet slightly wider than I think they need to be. Why? Because I'm honouring that space that I want through my hips and my pelvis. So I've gone slightly wider. So again, just catch yourself. Even when you're standing in pregnancy, catch yourself when your feet are really close. Let's get used to using a slightly wider base. So we're creating space and freedom here. Take your right leg and draw it in. So we have one leg bent and one leg straight. Now this foot is in flexion, and I'm going to take the same arm and wrap it. So right arm wraps around my right leg. So we can add a little twist, but what we're going to do is we're only going to give about 40% of effort, but we're going to turn away from the bent leg so that the bump, if I went this way, the bump would crush into this leg. So we're going to move away from the bent leg. So here's the bump and we move away. So 40% of effort is enough. So we're just going to create some space. Rotate the head gently and check in with your breath again. So we're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. You're breathing in and we're breathing out. A couple more rounds of your breath. Notice how it feels. Notice the rhythm, the sound. The connection to your breath is so important, not just in yoga, but just in life, in every day. And then gently come back to center, pause. Let's change. So extend that bent leg and change. So when it comes in, there's a tendency when that leg comes in for it again to come in more to the middle. So when it come in, just go slightly wider with it. So bringing it in and then hug it in towards your body. Lengthen your spine. We want the heart, the chest to be open. And then from this position here, remember we're going to rotate and twist around to the other side. So you are twisting away from the bent leg. The intention, 40% of effort at most. Now, if you notice this, the hand that's behind you on the ground, if it doesn't reach to the ground, that's where I might use a prop, okay? So I might place my block and place my hand on the prop. And really what it's doing is giving some support to your spine, to keep your spine nice and upright, as you create this gentle rotation. And I can just gently look down, increasing the length into the back of my neck. We'll just take one more round of your breath here. And then gently back to center. And then let's bring both of those knees in. And let's just again, so there should be enough space here for belly. Okay, so the feet almost wider than your hips. You're going to hug the arms on the outside. And I want you to really lift that sternum, that chest, to create space and length. We're lifting up, lifting up, lifting up, dropping the shoulders. We'll take one more round of the breath here. And then release and come into, again, a cross-legged seated position. Now, when we sit cross-legged, we tend to favor one leg in front all the time. So as you progress with your practice, every time you sit cross-legged, try and mix it up. I don't know if this is true, but the myth that I've heard is that when baby is in the womb and baby tends to cross one ankle over the other, in the womb they tend to favor one side, and that's how we stay, we sort of, for the rest of the life, you know, we have a favored side. I don't know if that is true or not, but I kind of love that sort of theory. So I'm taking the one that feels the most awkward to me in front. Now I'm going to turn side on for this one. You're in a seated position again. The spine is upright, chest is open. I'm going to take my arms and take almost the wrist, sort of end of your arms there, to rest on the outside of your knee. So the arms, you'll notice, are really, really straight. We're going to practice cat-cow again, but from a seated position. So lift your chest, look up, exhale, roll, scooping belly in towards the spine. So we inhale, lift, and exhale, round, scoop the belly towards the spine. Breath in. And breath out. You can look gently up, just gently, and then gently nod the chin towards the chest. We'll go for a couple more. You can do this with your eyes closed. Movement of your spine again. One more, breath in. And breath out. and then rock back into that neutral spine position. The spine is lifted, chest is open. And then very slowly we're going to come back, reach those hands out in front of you, and just come up and over onto all fours again. So you've been here a few times. Wrist under shoulders, knees under your hips. Remember, so my little finger, I've opened my hand, my little finger almost touching the edge of the mat. Normally I'd have my knees just slightly apart, but in pregnancy, always taking them slightly wider than you think they need to be to create that space through your pelvis. So here we are. This time I want to do a moving cat-cow. Forwards with your heart, your chest. You'll notice you're in a gentle back bend. Exhale, round, move backwards. Now inhale, rise up. Lift your arms above the height of your heart. Come down, the hips over the back of the heels. Come forwards, breath in. Breath out, rolling, moving back. Inhale, just raise the arms up, gently look up. Again, if you find that this one makes you feel a little bit dizzy, then you don't have to actually move the head a great deal. You can keep your head still. So this time, I'm just looking straight ahead. So I'm not lifting the eye gaze. I'm just going to do this next round, keeping my head almost completely still. So you have the option of doing the movements of the spine and not moving your head. If you're comfortable, shift your eye gaze, rounding, lifting up, coming back down, and we'll go for one more. A moving cat-cow. Breath in, breath out, lift up. Then we'll come back to neutral spine position. Now, once again, go back into Japanese sitting pose. And again, when you come into this Japanese sitting pose, you might keep the knees slightly apart. Okay, so again, if the knees are really too close together, that might affect us how we feel down through the pelvis. And again, it depends on what stage of pregnancy you're at. You know, you might be absolutely fine the first trimester or so being with the knees close, but over time, I might have to take those knees apart. So again, have a play around, have a listen to your body, what feels right in your body. Now, two options. Stay kneeling. If this doesn't work in your body, and it gets a nice stretch into the top of your thighs, you're using your core to be in this upright position, and I want you to come and sit cross-legged if this doesn't work for you. So when we think about breathing, when you breathe in, your diaphragm, which kind of sits around about here, when you breathe in, your diaphragm actually pushes down, okay? And then when you breathe out, it moves up. So we get this sort of movement going down and up when we breathe. Now in our body, what that feels like is it feels an expansion out. So we breathe in, ribcage expands sideways, exhale, ribcage gently contracts back again. So inhale. So you feel it as an expansion of your ribcage sideways and a gentle contraction drawing in. But actually what's happening in your body as you breathe in, the diaphragm extends and pushes down, and when you breathe out, it goes back to that normal position. So if you think about when you're in labor, the deeper you breathe in, the more the diaphragm is pushing baby down and out. And then you're going to control the exhale. So when we want to be practicing ready for delivery and birth, we want to breathe in slow and deep. And then control that breath out. So the space you want to be breathing into is you've got to visualize in your mind, you can do this with me, is even though my hand is just moving to that point, because that's probably as far as your diaphragm would extend, but I want you to visualize that you are breathing in and it's going all the way down that breath to your pelvis and then breathing out. So we're going to breathe in fully, like you can feel the expansion of the whole of your body when you breathe in. And if we can practice this style of breathing now in our yoga practice, when you come to need it in delivery, remembering that when you're breathing in, you're helping to create some pressure and a push down encouraging that baby to move down and out. Okay, this is the power of the breath. So come out of this cross-legged seated position. We might take the legs straight out in front of us again and give the toes a little wiggle. Just move them from side to side if your feet have fallen asleep. Okay, and if you were sitting cross-legged, you can again just get comfortable moving those legs around. So I'd like you to bend the right leg and bring it in front. Lean into your right hand and take the left leg and bend it behind you. So one leg bent in front and one leg bent behind you. Now again, very slowly, and we're only going to give about 30-40% of effort. You're going to rotate and just gently feel like you're twisting towards the front leg, your right leg. Take a round or two of your breath here. So for healthy hips, we want to work into this space here. So in the yoga practice, we often refer to the hips as our emotional center, where we store a lot of emotions. So if we're feeling a bit stressed, if we're feeling a little bit frightened, if we're feeling tense, nervous, the hips might feel as though they're holding you. Okay, so literally that tension and that fear might be holding our hips tight. So we want to sort of settle in and use the calmness of your inhale and the calmness of your exhale to create that sense of release and letting go. Now bring your head, neck and shoulders back to square. Take the right hand, place it down for some support because we're going to drag that back leg to the front. Left hand down, drag the right leg to the back. And again, you could be sitting up on a little cushion here, a little rolled up towel. So now the other leg is in front, the other leg is behind. We will take the spine gently, just 30-40% of effort, just rotate and twist gently. That's all I'm going to give. It doesn't need to be much. You want to breathe. Visualize that breath. Inhale, breathing in, exhaling out. So the breath in is about calming. Breathing out, letting go. The breath in calms my mind and body. As I breathe out, I practice letting go. Breathing in to calm my mind and body. Breathe out, practice letting go. And these little mantras that you say when you're breathing will come back to you sometimes when you need them most. So if you practice them, take one more round of the breath here. And then slowly return to center. Again, I'm going to put my left hand down, might lean to that left side, release that back leg, and then bring it around slowly, sitting cross-legged. Now you'll notice I've brought the other leg in front this time because I'm cross-legged again, but I'm going to keep mixing up the change of those legs. Okay, so create that freedom through my hips and my pelvis. So if you're not comfortable laying on your back, it is okay for a few moments to lay on your back. Then come into Shavasana using props. This is where if you have a blanket, you could take a very thin blanket and place it under your lower back and then a much thicker cushion or bolster under your knees. So have a little look. I'm going to take this one and place it roughly. Make sure your knees are bent when you go down, bending my knees, and also keeping your feet nice and wide and opening up. So if you have something just nestled into your middle lower back, slide the legs away and have a cushion under your knees, rotate the palms. Now, if you're really not comfortable laying on your back, then I want you to change and try this variation, which is where you will be laying in fetal position. And again, in fetal position, if I have my knees stacked, it's closing the pelvis, and we always want to be thinking of space. So I'm going to take a big cushion, a yoga block even, and place something between the knees. And we can come into fetal position, laying on our side, supporting here. So you're either on your side body or you're laying on your back with some support under the back of your knees. Doesn't matter which one. I want you to stay still, pause, rest, and connect back into your breath. And then when you're ready, just gently wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe lick across your lips. Release any tension around your mouth, walk the feet back towards you. You might already be on your side body, or you can roll over onto your side, use the hands. Press yourself up using support. You can come back again into a seated cross-legged position, always mixing it up so you don't always have that same leg in front. And all we need to do is to bring this practice to an end. Now, Shavasana, relaxation, can be done from a seated position. And what I would encourage you to do as well, you can practice this, I will do other videos, is you can take a little cushion and sit up on it. And you sit with the wall behind you, sitting cross-legged, okay? And you're basically using the spine and the wall as a support, and you feel like you're being held in this position. So this is another really lovely option to take as your Shavasana. And what I love to do with this one is let my head, back of my skull, lightly press into the wall. And that's another option that we can choose and use as we progress through our pregnancy. So all we need to do is bring this practice to an end here today. Hands into heart prayer position. As I bow my head to the earth, I say to you, Namaste. And please, give me some feedback. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what it is that you need. I will do a couple more videos to help and support you on your journey. Thank you.